And the question is, can you transplant papayas? That's the question, and we'll find out. How you going, folks? What we got here is papayas. Papayas, or pawpaws they're sometimes called. I've got just one little hint here. See the flowers on that? The flowers that only come out close to the stalk, that's the female plant. That's the female plant. The male plants, the flowers come right out about 8 inches out and then have a flower on the end. And then it's the multi-sex ones, I can't say the word, have both flowers. They tend not to produce as much fruit, even though they don't need a pollinator. So what we've got here is a whole garden full of self-sown papayas. They're everywhere. Little ones, biggish ones. Now we're going to leave some here to grow, but we've got to thin out the little ones. We've even got one here that's landed in a pot of herbs and grown, so he's going to be easy to transplant. And the question is, can you transplant papayas? That's the question, and we'll find out, because I'm going to attempt to transplant papayas. Where are they going? They're going right up there to the other end of the garden. Come for a walk, we'll have a look. Rightio, now what I've done here is, it looks a bit untidy and messy. I've dug 4 holes as such. 1, 2, I'd say about 10 inches deep and 8 inches across, roughly. 3, 4. Now the aspect is, the sun is up there. The reason that I'm planting those trees there is to give a canopy of shade to the back of the house here. I've got those trees there, they shade that area, but up this end, you get the full sun into this little courtyard here, and it heats up the house. They'll create a canopy up along there at the back, I hope. Yeah, so they're going to be grown along there, and they'll create a canopy of leaves up high. And I won't have to put up a shade sail or a shade cloth up there, which I was thinking of doing. I can do it with nature. Papayas are eaten all the time here in Thailand, continuously, papaya salad and ripe ones. So let's go and try and see if we can transplant these papayas. The dirt here is a heavy clay, building rubble, but they're growing very good up the other end. It's the same type of soil, so we'll see what happens. I'm working on the principle here. I go to try and transplant the small ones, like that one over the back there. He's a bit close to the wall, but we'll try. And some of these, the smaller ones at the back here, working on the principle that the smaller plants will transplant and grow quicker than try to transplant a big one. This big one, which has most of his roots in a pot, we'll transplant him as well. We'll see what happens. Okay, let's go and see what we can get over here. I think that's a reasonable bundle of roots there. We haven't cut any tap roots. 1 papaya, 2 papaya, 3, as the song goes. This one has broken up a bit more than what I wanted, but we'll try them. The roots don't seem really well developed, so we'll see how we go. I'll put a bit of some potting mix in the hole and water them in. Here we go. They're not as well developed roots as what I'd hoped. They're very tiny here, but that might be a good thing or a bad thing. We'll see what happens. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and I've got a big one I'm going to put. So we'll go and transplant these little ones, and we'll see what happens. So I've got to go and buy some soil, little bags of soil to put in the hole, some potting mix to break the clay down a little bit, get them in and water them in, and see what happens. The depth of the hole may be too much for what I required, but we'll put them in, see how it goes. Maybe I should have dug the plants up first and then seen how big a hole I need to put them in. Rightio, fellas, let's see what's going on. We've got this medium potting mix here. It's not a seed raising mix, more of a potting mix. We'll give it a go. One potato, 1 papaya. I don't know how they go, we'll find out. This one's a little bit longer in the roots, but more potting mix for him. It's looking good. The one up the end here, I'm going to put the bigger seedling that came in the pot. Look at the roots on this one. Now some of you are going to say, how do we know if it's a male or a female plant? Because the male plants won't grow fruit, of course. But I've got a little secret in the next video. I'll show you how to change a male plant into a female plant so you can get fruit. But we've got to let them grow a little bit first and then we'll see what we've got. Okay, let's get this one in the ground. Community spirit, I borrowed these from the gentleman next door, and I'll go up the street later and buy some more to replace for him. But while I'm on a run, I'll get these little devils in the ground. Oh yeah. Look at that for a root mass. Wow. That's looking pretty good. That's looking good. These little things here that were in the pot, that's a vegetable, that's a Thai green vegetable. I don't know the name of it. It's okay, I don't really go mad about it, but they use it in all their cooking. I'll leave them in the pot, in the dirt there, and they'll spread around, maybe, or they won't. I have broke off one of his big tap roots. He's lost that, but I think he's got enough to survive. Yeah, we've got one little one there that I haven't planted out. I don't need him. I just got to put some straw for the holes in the bottom of the pot. I'm just going to stick him in a little pot. We'll see how he goes. There we go. He'll either make it or he won't. I'll give him a water. Rightio. Water the little devils in. See what happens. See if you can transplant papayas. Papayas, not potatoes. I keep getting tongue-tied. Transplant potatoes. So over here they call them pawpaws too, but apparently pawpaws are a completely different type of plant. So I better call them by their correct name, papayas. With a click of the fingers, in a second, you'll see what happens in a couple of weeks. Maybe they're all going to be dead. I don't know. 2 papaya, 3 papaya, 4. Right, yeah. Three weeks has gone since we planted them. Have a look. I think it's been a success. The small plants wilted a lot after the first week, but they came back okay. If I was going to do it again, I would transplant the big ones, like this one. He did have an advantage that he had a pot around his roots, but by God, he's done well as a transplant. But the others have been successful too. They took a couple of weeks. They did wilt at the start. I had to put some plastic bags over them, but the small ones did survive. Have a look. Here's the little plants here. The reason that I put the lemongrass close to them, this lemongrass here, which will shift now, is that they're getting a lot of very direct sunlight and very hot. So I put the lemongrass over them to put a little bit of shade, a little bit of protection, a small microclimate around them. And it seems to have worked. Have a look at these here. And I think we can put this down as a great success. Yes, you can transplant wild, self-sown papayas. Have a look how they went. That's got to be a success. That was a very small one. That one there has to be a success. He's looking quite well. This one here is a lot bigger. He's a good looking success. Healthy, growing, doing well. He did have an advantage that he had a pot around his roots, but by God, he's done well as a transplant. And in another video coming up, we're going to do the experiment, trial and error, and see the result of changing the sex of a male papaya to a female papaya. That's going to be really interesting. Coming soon to a station near you. Check out my channel. Over here in Southeast Asia, experimenting with tropical plants. I come from a cold climate. I love it over here. The plants are so good and grow so quick. Unbelievable. Cheers. See you guys. Have a good one.